I was off Friday, so on Thursday night, the Lakers beat the Celtics. Rajon Rondo, last-second win. And, I watched the end of the game, and then Friday morning, I woke up, and I went on the internet, and people were going crazy, and headlines were unbelievable, and it saved the season. The Lakers' season has been saved. They can beat anybody. They've come together. This team is for real. That is total, utter nonsense. So I checked my phone, and I thought, well, who do they play next? They're out east. Sixers. And I thought to myself, well, what if they go get beat by 25 of the Sixers? LOL. They did. NBA media, settle down. Individual wins in February are irrelevant. The Lakers are a completely average team, and that game didn't save any season. They're 1 star and 13 possible transactions. Kyle Kuzma's their second-best player, and he disappears in games. He did against the Sixers. He does it all the time, and he's their second-best player. And I know they're all transactions because I read stories last week where the Lakers were willing to give up every single young player. And I scolded the Lakers, and I said, this is a big mistake. Do not get into business with the Pelicans like this. It will get ugly. It's a cautionary tale. When a team like the Pelicans has nothing to lose, be very careful about what you offer. They're just manipulating you because the Lakers put out a list of 7 players and 5 draft picks they were willing to give up. All the players now know they're pawns. This is an average team with one great player on the back 9 of his career, though he's still remarkable. He's not as dominant as he once was. He's coming off an injury. Only one other player is a true asset, Kyle Kuzma, and he disappears in games. And I thought the trade and all of it and all the nonsense in the media confused an average locker room. JaVale McGee, Magic Johnson flew out to the East Coast to talk to the kids and talk to the team after all those trade rumors were out there. And JaVale McGee was asked by the LA Times what he made of Magic Johnson talking to the players about all the trade rumors that never transpired. JaVale McGee said, it felt good. How am I supposed to answer that? How did I feel? Tingly inside? I don't know. The reporter said, was it productive? Yeah, I got so much out of it. It's crazy. Deep exhale. I don't know what you're trying to ask. Yeah, either do I. Magic Johnson flew out to soothe his young players who are freaking out, which all young people, middle-aged people, or old people would do if they feel they're completely expendable. Magic Johnson talked about that meeting with the team. They're not fine. They didn't look fine yesterday. This is not about kids being babies. I'll say it again. Luke Walton is in big trouble. This is a confused locker room. And be very careful about doing business with people who have nothing to lose. The Pelicans didn't, dirtied up all the trade rumors, and manipulated Magic and the Lakers. I don't blame the players. If you can sense your demise or the fact that you're completely expendable, that's tough for anybody to deal with. Some people are married, some have families, some are comfortable with their current employer. That win against the Celtics, take a deep breath, meant nothing. This is going to be an incredibly choppy second half, and Luke Walton, unfortunately, will take the hit. Kyrie Irving got hurt for the Celtics. And Kyrie Irving, I've said this before, he's a very good player. But a little bit of a flake. The world is flat. Doesn't want to play with LeBron or Brad Stevens. I think he's a little bit of a diva. He's a point guard that doesn't pass. I mean, he doesn't really pass. And I also think he's hurt again. And I've always said, be very careful about building around Kyrie Irving. But this is what's interesting. So Boston is viewed, the Boston Celtics are viewed as the guide, rebuilding for dummies. They're the guide in the NBA of how to rebuild. They win every trade. They hit on their draft picks. They hired a great coach. They landed 2 All-Stars, and they're very patient. If they wrote a book on how to rebuild in the NBA, rebuilding for dummies, the Boston Celtics, Brad Stevens, and the team would be on the cover. Let me ask you this morning. Kyrie Irving's hurt again and has made no commitment long-term to Boston. Anthony Davis reportedly has no interest going there, and Gordon Hayward doesn't fit. Are we all just fooling ourselves? on all these rebuilds in the NBA? Shouldn't we be embracing star player movement? How long have the Suns been rebuilding? 18 years? How about Sacramento? It's at least 7. The Lakers are rebuilding for 5. They had 3 number 2 picks. And the minute LeBron got hurt, oh, good hell, we're getting blown out again. The Celtics are seen as the guide to rebuilding. Patient, right coach, all-stars, hit on draft picks, win every trade. What are they today other than the 5 seed in the East? Kyrie is hurt again and will not commit. Anthony Davis is not, don't believe anybody, he's not interested. I was told that last week by somebody I trust that is close to Anthony Davis. He ain't going to Boston. And Gordon Hayward is a shadow of himself, and I'm not sure if he really works on this team, although I know his coach likes him. You want to know who's legit in this league? Houston. They brought in Chris Paul. The Sixers, when they added Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. I think a lot of this rebuilding stuff, let's be honest about the process in Philadelphia. They whiffed on like 7 guys. Philadelphia's process was basically for 5 years, who's the tallest player available? We'll draft him, as it was becoming a shooting league. I mean, even if you look at the LeBron rebuild, now think about this in Cleveland. LeBron's first 7 years, that rebuild didn't work. They didn't win anything. I mean, they won some games, but he eventually left. And then he won when Bosh joined he and D-Wade. And he went back to Cleveland and won with Kyrie Irving. And, oh, by the way, they had to acquire Kevin Love and get rid of a rebuilding draft pick, Andrew Wiggins. Is that stars and trades win this league? Now, people will say, Colin, what about Golden State? Colin, that is not what about. They weren't rebuilding. They were building. They'd been bad forever. They weren't breaking any dynasty down. They weren't bottoming out. The Golden State Warriors were not rebuilding. They were just building. They've been bad forever. I mean, for Monte Ellis, for about an hour and a half, they were interesting. But they weren't rebuilding. They weren't tanking for years and years and years and years and years. They didn't have to recapture the glory days of the Rick Barry dynasty. They were just building. And they fell to a couple of really, really good draft picks who were available because they played at Davidson in Washington State. But, I think a lot of times in the NBA, it seems less hopeful and less optimistic if you roll your eyes at rebuilds and you say, come on, give me a break. But I don't think tanking works. I really don't. I don't think tanking works. 6 teams in the league are apparently not putting out their best lineups. I don't think it works. I think rebuilds are overdone, and I think we should embrace what wins. Getting stars. Anthony Davis goes to the Celtics, then they win championships. Anthony Davis doesn't go for the Celtics, they're not winning championships. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.